Living cost in Thailand. What can you expect? From girlfriends to nightlife, from health to hobbies, I got you covered. I will also be sharing some valuable insights and money-saving tips to help you make the best of your budget while you enjoy everything that Thailand has to offer. Welcome to Thai Vibes. Now this is the second part of the series Living Cost in Thailand. So if you missed the first part, there will be a link to it in the top and in the description down below. A full breakdown of my own budget will also be covered later on in the video. And as a bonus, we will play around with some numbers to give you something to think about. Enjoy the video. Now the first part is about the nightlife and partying in Thailand, and this is something that can easily break your budget. It's normally not cheap to party in Thailand. Here you can buy a bottle of Sangsom, which is a Thai bottle of rum, for a few hundred baht to share with your friends or the locals. However, unless you have stayed here for a longer period of time, it's normally not the first choice of most people. Now, predicting people's budget on a night out would be like eating soup with a fork. You might make a little progress, but you're mostly just making a mess. My own budget is pretty much zero, as I only go out a few times a year to drink, so that's very easy to cover. I will tell you, without sounding like your mother, the importance of you making it clear to yourself how much money you can spend each month going out, because this is what breaks so many people's budget and make it economically hard to stay in Thailand for a longer period of time. Imported alcohol, beer and wine is quite expensive, and 2,000 baht for a bottle in a bar is not unusual. Put in some drinks for the ladies and maybe even company for the night, and you might wake up with a hangover and 10,000 baht lighter on the account. Do this a couple of times a week and you can imagine why your liver and your bank accounts are screaming for help. Of course, this is not the scenario for everybody, but combined with the next point, you might ending up a little bit short of money. Now the next chapter is going to be about a Thai girlfriend or a Thai wife. Now how do I make this one as quick and painless as possible? Well, I don't think I can, but let me make a few statements that have been working pretty well with my own Thai wife and in relation to the definition of values for most Thai people. You might not agree with me or have a completely different view on things, and that is okay. This is only from my own experience. When you get a Thai girlfriend or a Thai wife for that matter, you also get an obligation to take care of her and partly her family, especially her kids if she has any, and her mom and dad. I will not go into too many details in this video about this subject as it's quite a big one. However, I will say this. Your Thai girlfriend or Thai wife will cost you money, and that is part of living in Thailand. I know you've heard many stories about Thai women. Do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. But in the end, I believe it all comes down to the individual being you. From the beginning of a relationship, make it clear what is economically possible for you to do and stick with it. I can't stress this out enough. If you find a financial mutual balance based on trust and time, your relationship has the potential of being so much easier. Unless you find a rich partner that doesn't need your money, then supporting her and her family is part of Thai life, and that's it. Of course, you just don't throw money at her, but I believe that if you can find a mutual way in your relationship that is not based around money, then your relationship can thrive. It's not, then maybe it's time to move on. I know you're probably looking for a specific number in regards to me and my own Thai wife. However, I can't really give you one because the numbers has fluctuated a lot during our time together. He has known from the beginning what I have been able to help with and what I haven't been able to help with. And she also knows that in case I earn more money, he will benefit from it. And that, my friends, has helped keeping it all together. Now, we could talk about this for hours, but to come to a short conclusion before we get into some real daily expenses. Use your common sense. Help where help is needed. Don't just open your wallet because maybe then it will never close again. And have an idea of how much money you want to spend on your woman each month. Now for part 3, we are here in Makro, which is a Dutch wholesale store, which over the past 10 years have increased in popularity. And right now there are over 150 stores all around Thailand. Now usually we buy all our daily stuff here and in Lotus, which is a big retail store also in Thailand. And together with the Thai markets, we feel these are the places where you get the most out of your money. Now I know we already have covered food, but let me show you what you can expect inside Makro. Let's go. Now this is the fresh vegetables market here in Makro. Now the products here are usually very good, but I will still suggest you to buy your fruits and vegetables at a Thai fresh market, as they're usually more delicious and healthy. Now if you're much into seafood, then Makro has a whole section for seafood alone. As you can see here, they have a lot of fresh fish. They have prawns, they have squid, they have basically everything that you can desire. So if you're into seafood, then this place is the place to go. So a funny thing in Thailand, Makro also have a section where they sell different kind of alcohol. However, there is an old law in Thailand that goes you can only sell alcohol between 11 AM and 2 PM and between 5 PM until midnight, or in this case until 10 o'clock where Makro closes. I know it's a little bit weird, but this is Thailand. Now here we have the meat section in Makro, which I frequently visit. I usually go for the lean meat, as it should supposedly be the healthiest. Now when we talk about daily stuff, it can be everything from food to cleaning supplies to dog food. Even mosquito spray and pots and pans have a place on the daily budget. Now should you care about things like underwear, toothpaste and toilet paper, I don't know, I will leave that up to you. However, this is the cheap Charlie version, so I have to care. Now we spend around 15,000 Thai baht every month on daily things that are not food related. Let's briefly talk about insurance. Don't be that guy without insurance. Every week we hear a story about someone being in the hospital unable to get treatment because he can't pay the bill or doesn't have any insurance. Now let me draw a dire picture from you. You can lay on the asphalt in front of the hospital and nobody will help you unless you can pay the bill. Now of course someone might come and help you, but I just want to make a hard point. Now insurance is probably one of the most expensive things on my budget, but one I will never compromise. We pay around 100,000 baht for 2 people, so 50,000 baht per person per year. What you have to decide is how much are you willing to pay for your health. Also a good idea is to look around for the best company suited to your needs. Talk to people and ask them what their experiences are and if they have ever used their insurance or not. A money-saving tip is don't get outpatient. It's quite expensive and can sometimes double your premium. There are other ways to get around it, as I will cover in the next chapter. Now we are here in Market Village in Hua Hin, where it's a lot cooler inside than it is outside, so it's a nice place to film. Let's talk a little bit about health. Now Thailand has a very good health system if you can pay for it. I have spent enough time in hospitals due to my love for Muay Thai and an old body. So let's talk about what I have learned about hospitals in Thailand. Upper class private hospitals like Bangkok hospitals are definitely some of the best, no doubt about it. Forbes magazine even promoted Bangkok hospital recently in an article here in Hua Hin. It's that good. If you have the insurance with both outpatient and inpatients to pay for all your bills, then there's no doubt about it, the private hospitals are the best. However, if you're missing things like outpatient on your insurance, which we discussed before, then there are definitely better alternatives. Because going to a place like Bangkok Hospital for a scan or to get some medicine is something that will burn a hole through your wallet. Let me give you an example. A couple of years ago, I went to Bangkok Hospital to get an X-ray for my ribs, and I paid 5,000 for that X-ray and 2,000 for the medicine. The year after, I went to the government hospital in Hua Hin, where I paid 500 baht for an X-ray scan and 250 baht for medicine. So that's literally 10 times as much money to go to a private hospital compared to a government one. Now the crazy thing is, it's the same doctors, the same medicine, and from what I could see, pretty much the same equipment. So 10 times the price is a little bit crazy. Now, of course, the downside of going to a government hospital is the time it takes. It takes a lot longer to go to Hua Hin Hospital compared to Bangkok Hospital. So if your time is more valuable than the price you actually pay, then there is a reason to justify it. One tip to remember is the special medical clinics. Now, special medical clinics are clinics that are made in government hospitals for foreigners, where they can come and get a checkup at a reduced price compared to other clinics and private hospitals all around Thailand. So it's definitely worth going there. Now, what about sport and hobbies? It's always a good idea to participate in a sport and or a hobby when you're in Thailand. Now, not only does it make you more social, but it also keeps you healthy, and it might keep you away from bad habits like sitting in a bar drinking beer all day. So how much does it cost? Now, with fear of repeating myself, I would say it depends. Now, my budget for sport each month is 5,000 baht. But again, depending on your sport, it can be less or it can be a lot more. You can also do a thing like playing golf, for example, which is very popular choice here in Hua Hin. If you go play golf here, normally it can set you back a couple of thousand baht each time you visit the golf course. Of course, you can get things like monthly or yearly membership, which will be a little bit cheaper, but it still can be quite an expensive hobby. Now, just another funny story here about Thailand. I don't know if you remember, but when we talked about food and buying daily necessities, I talked about that we bought our things in Lotus. Now, before this name, it was actually called Tesco Lotus, but then was bought by one of the biggest private companies in Thailand called CP. Now, a lot of people had to figure out what they would change the name to, so they came up with this, basically only putting an S in the end. So now instead of Tesco Lotus, it's called Lotus. I don't know. I don't even know how to pronounce it. While we are here in Market Village, let's briefly talk about kids. Whether you are a family with children, you have a Thai girlfriend with kids, or you don't have any children yet, I think we can agree that children cost money. Now, families can already relate to that much more than we can, because we don't have any kids yet. Besides, of course, the obvious expenses of having children, I won't mention too much about the expenses. I will only say though that the schools here, if you want your kid or kids to go to a private school, it can set you back several hundreds of thousands of baht in school tuition and school books and uniforms. So you made it. Retirement in Thailand, the dream coming true. A steady pension coming from back home to financially help you support the remaining of your years under the tropical sun in Thailand. Now, in my experience, retirees have the best chance to financially make it in Thailand because they have both the knowledge and the experience to make their pension last. Whether it be 50, 80, 100 or even more baht per month, you can have a decent life here in Thailand. Although 50 might be a little bit on the low side, and then you have to ask yourself if you can get that quality of life you want for that amount of money. Also, you might need an aide or a helper to get through everyday life in Thailand. Whether it being a girlfriend, a wife or even a housekeeper, those things need a place on the budget as well, as there's no such thing as a free lunch. Also, when you are older and older expat, an insurance can be quite expensive. Now, last advice, which you might have heard a million times before. Don't go buy a land, a house or other material things a month after you meet your dream girl. Give everything a bit of time so you don't lose everything to a bad decision. I did promise to give you a breakdown of my own budget, and then we'll play around with a few numbers just to give you something to consider. So here we go. For rent, electric, internet, water and TV, 10,000. Food, 15,000. Motorbike, 1,500. Visa, 1,250. Wife, 5,000, but this can vary. Daily life, 15,000. Insurance, 9,000. Health, 4,000. Sports, hobbies, 5,000. Now that gives a total of 65,750 for 2 people. Now that leaves us with the unexpected expenses. Those can be hard to calculate as they can vary a lot. I never know if my father-in-law needs new teeth or a new toilet, or we all of a sudden have to go back to Denmark. A trip back to Denmark can easily be around 100,000 in airplane tickets alone. So I normally leave 10,000 baht in unexpected expenses in a separate budget. So if you calculate everything together, it would be around 75,000 per month. So what should you be aiming for? Well, I think we can all agree for most people, living costs in Thailand are quite cheap. However, one thing to consider and one thing that is not mentioned in too many videos is your own income. If you come to Thailand without any form of income, it won't really do you any good that the living costs here are quite cheap if you can't support a lifestyle. Let's make a fictional scenario with me, for example. Now I'm 48 and let's say that I wanted to retire when I'm 60. We would like to build a house that would cost around 3 million, and let's say that we want a car that's another million. To live comfortably in Thailand, I would say maybe 100,000 baht each month, and let's presume that we live 30 years from 60 being 90 years old. That would leave us with a total of around 40 million baht or about $1.1 million in order to live comfortably. So that means if I would have to start saving up now, I would have to make around 400,000 baht or more than $10,000 a month in order to achieve this goal. Of course, we have to take this with a smile. I just wanted to show you some wild thoughts. Now, could I save up $1.1 million in 12 years living in Thailand? Maybe. We all have to start somewhere, even though the goal seems quite unreachable. One thing is for certain though, had I only focused on money before coming to Thailand when I was in Denmark, I would never have been able to move here. Now I know the fear of not being able to support yourself and your family, but could you overcome that fear in order to change your environment to something better, to a place full of friendly people, tropical sun and a beachfront? I will leave that answer up to you. Thank you so much for watching. See you all again soon. Sawadee krap.